Hey beautiful ladies, welcome back to my channel. This is the Black Exotical. So today I want to talk to you about the importance of protecting your energy. Um, I've noticed as of late, and this can happen to anyone, regardless of your background, but I do notice that there is a siphoning, if you will, of energy from Black Exoticals. And when I say siphoning of energy, I mean trying to draw or deplete or even mine, if you will, your energy. And I know that there's some spiritualists who are probably listening and who could probably understand where I'm going with this. I myself do not come from that world, but I can identify and recognize when patterns are happening. And I do believe that it is important to speak on it. So, how do you siphon someone's energy? Well, you do that by intentionally doing or saying things to get a reaction. And usually it's to get like a jarring reaction, to get you kind of jolted and get you kind of worked up, so that every time that you respond, you're left feeling depleted. And this can be done when someone tries to diminish your experiences. So, say for example, you share something traumatic, or you share an accomplishment, or you kind of just had like a stressful week, or you just feel a bit overwhelmed, and someone just comes in and they just bring negativity. They just bring negativity into your space, and now you feel even worse, or you just feel depleted after being around that person. That person has successfully siphoned your energy. Or even people who enter exotical spaces just to troll. They just want to oppose everything that you say. They want to try to invalidate your experience and kind of just make your experience feel less than theirs. Well, then, while they simultaneously turn around and say that their own experience is valid and that if you speak against it or anyone who doesn't look like them speaks against it, they're racist. But then they turn around and project that same energy onto you. They're trying to siphon your energy so that you feel depleted and that you no longer feel confident and that you feel less than. And then by successfully doing that, you're now brought down to their level. People do this when they're trying to feed their attention starved egos. So, as I just said, if someone is feeling less than, it's just like a bully, very simple. When a bully is feeling bad about themselves, just in very, very simple terms, a lot of times we hear that bullies are created in the home when they're children. So if their parents are mean to them, abusive, or they just simply don't give them enough attention, they're neglected, they then start to lash out and take it on other children who they think are weak. And unfortunately, there are a lot of adults who haven't grown out of this practice. And when they're feeling less than about themselves, they try to project this negative energy. They try so that it can siphon and deplete your energy so that you then feel reduced and feel bad about yourself. And now you're both miserable. As they say, misery needs company. It's also coming from a place of cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is the discomfort a person feels when their behavior does not align with their values or their beliefs. So for example, there'll be a lot of women that will kind of shout from the rooftops about how oppressed they are and how they are victims and they're bullied by people who don't look like them. And, they have a right to be proud about their identities, and anyone else who kind of opposes that is racist and or a hater. But then they'll turn around and try to invalidate your experience as an exotical. And you'll see them just go hard instead of just minding their own business and staying in their own space and kind of just cultivating their own experiences. They want to then come into your space and disrupt yours. They're doing that because they're experiencing cognitive dissonance. And they are experiencing cognitive dissonance because they hold this one belief that they project and preach to the world, but then they don't give you the same grace for you to be proud about your identity. And they'll immediately think of it as, you being boastful or you thinking that you're better than others, when in fact you're just doing the same thing that they're doing in holding space for yourself, in promoting your own identity, and standing up for your own values. And so the cognitive dissonance comes in that, again, they don't give you the same grace that they themselves preach that they deserve for themselves. And so they feel this discomfort, and a lot of people lack emotional intelligence. And so that translates into them lashing out, them being aggressive and confrontational, instead of identifying and saying, you know what, this is uncomfortable for me because my whole life I was told that this group of people who don't look like me are the enemies, when in fact, they're just trying to go through life just like me. And maybe their experiences have also been invalidated just like me. And so we actually have more in common than I was led to believe. And so they project this negative energy instead of acknowledging and dealing with the emotions that they're feeling. Regardless of the reasoning for why someone tries to siphon your energy is honestly not your problem. What you should focus on is overcoming this and protecting yourself so that you will not be depleted. Because when you constantly leave a situation, or you're just constantly in a state of feeling overwhelmed and stressed out and exhausted and depleted, that can lead to uh, your cortisol levels chronically being elevated and you being stressed out, and it can even affect your mental health. And when your cortisol levels are elevated consistently, that can lead to a lot of health issues. So, in order to protect yourself from someone who tries to deplete your energy, it's very important that you maintain healthy boundaries. Don't engage in certain conversations with people, whether in person or online. You don't owe people an explanation for your choices in life. They are not paying your bills. They do not own you. Therefore, you do not owe them an explanation. Simply just don't engage with certain conversations. If someone tries to bring something up, just be like, I don't want to talk about that right now, and move on. And if that's a friend or a family member who keeps trying to push that boundary, you need to limit the amount of time that you're around that person. And similar to that, that also means choosing your battles by not reacting to everything. Sometimes, yes, you need to put people in their place. That is also a form of maintaining your healthy boundaries. But sometimes it's so petty that it's not even worth it. You gain more by just keeping quiet and moving on and just blocking that person. You also overcome energy vampires, if you will, by adopting emotional intelligence. So, number one, being mindful of what your triggers are. And number two, being able to accurately respond. So, if you know, for example, going to a family function where people don't understand boundaries or people like to talk about things that are controversial, choosing not to go to family functions with certain individuals is a way of protecting that boundary, but also having a form of emotional intelligence because you are aware of the emotion that can come up from being around that person, and you are aware of how that emotion can end up making you feel. Let me know what you do to protect yourself from energy vampires. How do you maintain your boundaries? I'll see you in the next video. Bye.